Keep yourself in the loop of everything football. Listen to Alex and Jeremiah on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello there, I'm Jeremiah.
I am Alex, always and forever here.
Dedicated to college and NFL football. The latest football news on and off the field. NFL draft trade rumors. We've got you covered from the NFL, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC, and everything else in between. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, where we'll discuss the latest news, rumors, and games of the NFL and college football. From the latest signs to this year's breakout stars and all of the news in between. As always, Jeremiah.
And I am Alex. Hello and welcome.
Yeah, you look like you're looking for something there.
I'm looking for a pen.
Oh, okay.
A pen on that table?
No, but you know what? There was one there the other day.
I know, that's what I'm looking for.
And
what'd you do with it?
I took it because it was mine. I left it there the day prior.
There's a pen on this table for 7 weeks.
If you want, I can get it for you.
No,
I can get it for you during the break.
No, because
it was my pen.
I need it before the break. It's okay.
It's my pen.
It's okay.
Okay.
Anyways, today we are talking college football now that the playoffs are set and pretty much not changing, obviously, as who is in the college football playoff top four. And we'll also talk about the games in which I previewed and predicted for the weekend of championship weekend. And we'll talk about some notable bowl games. And then we're going to talk tonight's Monday Night Football and this weekend's matchups in football as well. It's going to be a good game. Good day. Good everything.
Good game.
Have a good game.
Good game.
All right, so let's first talk real quick. We'll knock out the championship weekend, okay? So, with the MAC, I guessed Western Michigan. Who did you guess?
I guess Western Michigan as well.
Okay, so it's 1-0. For the Pac-12 game, Washington.
I guess Washington too.
2-0. For the SEC championship, Bama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all had Bama.
3-0. ACC, Clemson.
Mm-hmm. I guess Clemson too.
4-0. The Big Ten championship game, I guessed Penn State.
I guess Penn State and
5.
Anthony predicted Wisconsin.
So he's 4-1.
Yeah.
You and I are 5-0. This is where I missed. I went with my heart, and it looked good at the start. Rhyming. Oklahoma over Oklahoma State. I took Oklahoma State, so I'm 5-1.
I took Oklahoma.
Okay, so you are 6-0. And then Temple and Navy, I picked Navy.
I picked Navy as well.
Yeah, so you're.
Yeah, I don't think anyone picked Temple. No.
I'm 5-2. You're 6-1.
Mm-hmm. And
then we move to the Mountain West, and I picked San Diego State.
I did too.
So 6-2, and then we have the matchup in the USA Conference, and that was Kentucky over in Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech. Who did you take?
I took Louisiana Tech.
Okay, so you missed on that one,
I
got on that one.
I did, but it was looking good for a while.
So what is your record overall?
So I got 2 wrong.
So we both ended up at 6-2?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, and I think Anthony, he guessed Western Kentucky as well.
Okay.
I think he went with San Diego State. So he missed one. He missed another game somewhere because he got
Yes.
the Big Ten. He got the Big Ten championship game wrong.
He got that wrong, and he got Navy.
Navy.
Yeah.
No. He picked Navy.
Yeah, Navy lost.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, we're
all
all
6-2.
tied. We're all tied.
Yeah. So just to cover, Louisiana Tech loses to Western Kentucky 58-44, and then the games to talk about, like I said, Colorado loses to Washington 41-10. Western Michigan over Ohio 29-23. Bama smashes Florida in the SEC championship 54-16. Clemson over Virginia Tech in the ACC championship game, closer than a lot of people thought it might be, 42-35. Penn State over Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship, 38-31 in a very close game.
Game of the year.
Game of the year. Oklahoma over Oklahoma State, 38-20. Baylor loses to West Virginia, 24-21. That was just a game they had to finish the year off. The AAC goes 34-10 in favor of Temple. No one saw that coming. Personally, I did not. And then to end the games that we were talking about, the Mountain West, San Diego State wins the Mountain West over Wyoming, 27-24.
Yeah, and that Mountain West game was very close. Wyoming had a They were in it the whole entire game. What a performance by Donald Pumphrey, the running back there at San Diego State. I don't know if he's going to turn into a good NFL running back, but he's
definitely in the Heisman conversation.
But he has to be, and he probably won't be in it because of the school he's at.
He's in the conversation, but he probably won't win it.
He won't win it.
Because look at Lamar
he
Jackson.
probably won't be a finalist.
Yeah,
I don't think he will.
I've seen him on a lot of those like Twitter ballots, people voting, but I don't know how they even construct those. All right, so that moves us to the rankings now. After championship weekend, we had pretty much what we expected it to look like. We have Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, Washington. Clemson, Ohio State flipped, so one dropped, one jumped. So that's your top four. Alabama's going to start the year playing Washington State, actually end the year, as a matter of fact, on December 31st. So they play each other in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. I have never eaten a peach from Chick-fil-A, but I probably not good.
That doesn't even make sense. The Chick-fil-A
It's the Peach Bowl. It's just sponsored. Ben and I were talking about this. It's like the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, or it's just.
I missed it when it was Tostitos. It made more sense.
There's still a Tostitos Bowl.
No, Tostitos Fiesta. It used to be the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
Oh, you mean that one made more sense?
Yeah, that one made more sense.
Yeah, there's other I'm saying there's other Tostitos Bowls now. So yes, on the 31st, both of those games. The early game is going to be at 12 o'clock here, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Is the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl? Washington taking on number 1 Alabama, and that is Georgia Dome, Atlanta. That's where that game is being played. It's a good college stadium, and for at least it's a good NFL stadium for a college matchup, a big matchup like that to be played. And then we look at the later game, 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern time. You have number 3 Ohio State hosting number 2 Clemson in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, and that is in the University of Phoenix Field in Glendale, Arizona, where the Cardinals play.
Yes,
those are both pretty intense games to end the year off.
They are. I'm telling you right now, we're gonna find out a lot about this Washington squad. I've been saying it the whole entire year. It took me forever to be sold on this team. I finally am. But no matter what, I still think they were going to lose by Alabama. Alabama is just a superior team. But Washington, they're a great team as well.
Yeah, I did tell you, I think the way they play, if they play up to their abilities on both sides of the ball, they can stick with them maybe.
Yeah, no, they can. And Washington, they did win 41-10. They beat Colorado handily, but
unfortunately, Cephalou Lofau, he kind of got hurt and then never really looked the same through two picks.
Yeah, and that was a problem for Colorado the entire. I think he got hurt. He got hurt against Michigan earlier in the year, and then they were leading that game.
Yeah, and they won 2 games with their backup too.
Yeah, and they were leading that game against Michigan, but Michigan came back and won that game. Mm-hmm. But getting back to Washington here, Jake Browning did not play a good game at all.
I really think the game plan, was more set to run. He didn't attempt a lot of passes, but it wasn't looking great. I was telling Ben in the sports show before we move on real quick to the bowl games, probably of all college football and regular football all year, maybe excluding one game yesterday in NFL, the craziest 2-play sequence I think I've ever seen. In just back-to-back kind of ways they're done. So Washington's going to try to score again. They're on about 35-yard line, something like that. And they run a play where he takes a snap. He looks right to the receiver. I think it was John Ross. And fakes the screen because either it was a literal fake, for no point to throw, or it was he looked over there. The guy was on him anyway, and then he looked back left. Well, as he looks back left, he kind of looks around. He gets pressured, so he rolls out to his right, and he's kind of off balance. He just throws the ball away. I don't know if you saw this play. John Ross, I believe the receiver, jumps up in a ball that should have been thrown out of bounds, but because Browning was off balance, he kind of underthrew it. And instead of it going out of bounds, it looks like it can go for a pick. John Ross, like I said, I believe the receiver goes up with one hand. I don't even think he had to go with one hand, honestly, but he catches it. And I think because he did it with one hand, it really threw the DB off because he jumped for the pick, and he took it for a touchdown. So I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy, right? Mm-hmm. On the ensuing kickoff, he kicked the ball off to Colorado. The guy has a really good return. He runs it back to about the 45-yard line, gets tackled, and as he's falling down, he fumbles the ball. It bounces in the air straight, continuing going forward, picked up by a Colorado player on the sprint, and is ran all the way back down to the 4-yard line. Unfortunately, I believe they only got a field goal out of it. But I was like, wow, that was a crazy 14 seconds of football time,
Yeah, when was that during the game again?
That was either really late in the third or early in the fourth.
Okay, so
the game was pretty out of hand by then.
It was pretty hand, okay.
Yeah, it was 30-something to 7. So, yeah, it wasn't like that was close. But the game did go into halftime at 7-14. So, anyways, let's look at some notable bowl games other than the college football playoff games, because you have those two games on New Year's Eve, and then the championship game will be played at Raymond James Stadium, the home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and somewhat frequent Super Bowl home as well. Last being, I want to say it's the Steelers Cardinals. Might have played there once since though, back in 2008. That will be the hosting stadium for the championship game. But let's look at some notable bowl games. So we have, starting obviously, a lot of the real notable ones are on the new year. So the All-State Sugar Bowl, that is Auburn and Oklahoma, number 14 Auburn versus Oklahoma. They're playing at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, so another great place to play. You have the Rose Bowl, presented by Northwestern Mutual. Just call it the Rose Bowl. It is number 9 USC versus number 5 Penn State, obviously in the Rose Bowl. This is one of the great matchup. This is the games I'm most excited for. I'm very excited for this one. I love the Rose Bowl every year.
Two of the hottest teams in college football. You got Penn State going on the end of the year, the 9-game win streak. USC that end of the year on an 8-game win streak.
8, yeah.
And
they didn't play. Yeah,
this is going to be a hard-nosed defensive game.
Yeah.
Because remember, USC's defense has played well at the end of the year. Penn State, their defense played well in that championship game, even though they allowed 31 points. They came back and outscored Wisconsin, 27-3?
Yeah, they handled them.
20, at the second half. So, this defense does play well. And, man, that offense from Penn State, man, what a game from McSorley there.
Yeah, I'm excited to see both of these quarterbacks.
I forgot his first name.
McSorley?
Yeah, McSorley.
I can tell you.
But, man, the throws that he made against Wisconsin, man, they're dimes.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback. He really is.
So I'm really looking forward to, and he's a young quarterback too.
Yeah, I'm excited to see both of these quarterbacks in this game. Trace McSorley
versus Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
it's going to be a pretty good matchup, and this is probably the most excited I've been to see a Rose Bowl in forever, but I always like watching Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I love watching Rose Bowl. Okay, then we keep moving on. Western Michigan gets the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic.
Yes,
they're facing off against. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're facing off against Wisconsin, and we're going to find out a lot about this Western Michigan team now. Yeah, they're finally going to play a legit opponent.
And they get to play at AT&T Stadium, the home of the Dallas Cowboys. That's pretty great. Okay, and the last game, actually, technically it's the first game, but the last of the ones I'm previewing here it's the 2nd of January. So the second day of the new year is the Outback Bowl, number 17 Florida in Iowa, also at Raymond James Stadium. So not super significant, but a good game. We look at New Year's Eve as well, December 31st. Obviously, you have the Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl, two things that do not match up. I told Ben Buffalo, Wild Wings, and citrus, but then again, maybe you're putting citrus in your beer. I don't know. You have number 20 LSU playing number 13, Louisville. They're playing at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. I don't know who plays there. I don't know Camping World Stadium.
I'll look it up right now.
So you do that because I'm going to continue on. We have the Capital One Orange Bowl. That is number 6 Michigan, just missing, after the loss to Ohio State, falling to number 6, just missing the playoffs. And number 11, Florida State. They are playing at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida. That is the home of the Miami Dolphins. We have the Hyundai Sun Bowl, in which Stanford kind of saved their season and became bowl eligible after a horrible start. They are facing North Carolina. Definitely not where they wanted to be, but it is a bowl game for them. They're playing in the Sun Bowl, El Paso, Texas. That is the stadium they always use for the Sun Bowl. You have the Valero Alamo Bowl, and that is going to be taking place on December 29th. And I meant to mention the games I just mentioned, the Sun Bowl, that is December 30th. So December 29th, you have the Valero Alamo Bowl. That is number 12, Oklahoma State, and number 10, Colorado, the runners-up of their respective conferences. They're playing at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. We move on to, we're actually kind of moving backwards here. On the 28th of December, you have West Virginia's bowl game against Miami, that's the Russell Athletic Bowl, again at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. Not to mention the Foster Farms Bowl, which is at Levi Stadium, not far from us, Indiana, and number 19, Utah.
Okay, getting back to the Camping World Stadium here.
Help me out here.
It is the tenants. The current tenants right now is the NCAA. So
they use it for bowl games.
They use it for bowl games, and they use it for the Russell Athletic Bowl as well. And it's also been a host of several short-lived professional teams. UCF played there a couple of seasons.
Okay.
They got even a couple MLS teams, soccer teams that play there. And getting back to football here, lingerie football. The Orlando
wow.
Fantasy was there. So.
Okay, maybe that's why it was built. I don't know.
Yeah, it was built for that. I'm kidding.
All right.
Anyways, I wanted to get that out there because the name was just so like.
Yeah,
it's weird for a football stadium, Camping World Stadium.
Exactly. All right, a couple games, one of which I'm definitely looking forward to. December 27th, we have the National Funding Holiday Bowl. That's Minnesota and Washington State.
I know you were excited about that.
At Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego. Might go to that one. My brother wants to go really bad. He's the one that went to Washington State, so we'll see. And then the Motel 6 Cactus Bowl, Boise State and Baylor, two teams that are, at one time were ranked this year, finished the year unranked. They're playing at Chase Field in Phoenix. So interesting there. And then we don't have the Camping Dome, but it's the Camping World Independence Bowl. NC State and Vanderbilt. I just had to make sure I said that. Can't forget that. And then just like every year, I feel like Hawaii is in the Hawaii Bowl. They're facing off against Middle Tennessee. So a lot of notable games.
The other game that I'm really looking forward to is the Las Vegas Bowl between Houston and San Diego State.
Yes, I was getting to that one. That is a game of two teams that were ranked throughout the year. It's going to be interesting because you have Houston is probably the better team. San Diego State is a very good team, obviously the winners of the Mountain West, and also Houston, who's going to be playing without their head coach. So that's December 17th.
Something to look out for.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to be an interesting game to look at for sure. But that's really most of the notable ones. Honestly, we have bowl games starting December 17th, and that is actually the day of that game. So we will obviously start previewing those when we get closer. There's no sense in doing that now. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to take our first break, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk NFL football. A crazy week in NFL football, and a lot of weird endings to games and certain outcomes of games and things in games, and we're going to talk about it. So give us 1 minute. We'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. It's time to talk NFL football week number 13. So let's get into it. The Chiefs and the Falcons played one of the first morning games, and it was one of the craziest endings to an NFL game all year. The Falcons lose this one late, 29-28 to the Chiefs. Chiefs go up 9-3 on the year, still right there in the AFC West. The Falcons 7-5, they're still right up there, though, in their division, of course. Now, this game was interesting for one specific reason, other than, it was, good performance by a lot of players. You had Alex Smith, 270-1, 297-1 for Matt Ryan. He did have a pick, 2 as a matter of fact, which we'll talk about in a second, but it doesn't get logged on his stat sheet. You had a fake punt that was the go-ahead touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs. Never seen such a huge opening on a fake punt for Albert Wilson, 1 for 55 yards, and it was that rush touchdown. Devontae Freeman only 56 yards, but he had 2 scores. The leading receivers are no surprise if you look at either team throughout the year. Travis Kelce, 140 on 8 receptions. Julio Jones, 113 on 7 receptions. Now, what is most interesting about this game is early on in the game, you had a pick 6 from Eric Berry, about 37-yard return. Okay, pretty good, from him. He read the play well, picked it off. Now, late in the game, it is 27-22. It's a 5-point game. The Falcons drive down the field, and they score a touchdown, a pass to Aldrick Robertson. Okay. Now they had to go for 2 because make it a 3-point game. It's what most people would do. On the ensuing 2-point conversion, though, Eric Berry picks the ball off. Now, any other time this would have been, okay, crap, pick the ball off. It's 28-27. We get the ball now. Let's try to score. A field goal wins it. Well, in the new NFL, and what's something I like about the rule changes they did, you can return blocked kicks and picks for 2 points. Eric Berry did just that. And as I liked so much that I heard this weekend, as they say when people get at picks or long plays, they have reservations for 6. Eric Berry had reservations for 2. And he takes it back about 102 yards, roughly, maybe 99. It depends. I'm trying to remember if he's in the end zone a bit or just outside. But he runs it all the way back for 2 points. It's listed as a safety, technically speaking, because it gets put back in their own end zone. So that's how the game ends. The Chiefs go up 29-28. The Falcons lose. They don't ever get the ball back after that pick. And that's a pretty gutting way to lose, if you ask me.
And all I got to say is that Eric Berry is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And there's something about this game, too. He says something about, at this point last year, I was fighting for my life.
He's from Atlanta.
He's from Atlanta.
And this is the first time he's gone back to Atlanta to play a game, because the last time he went back to Atlanta was to receive chemo.
Exactly. And he said that in his press conference, and now, now he's playing football. He's probably having one of his best year of his career.
Yeah, he's having a great year, other than kind of his first few years. Yeah. I have him as a defensive candidate of the year candidate, and I have another safety, which I'll get into. I have
a linebacker.
His game's on here, I'm assuming.
Oh, his game is later.
Okay, so when we get there, you stop me, because I'm gonna do the same thing when we get to the other player who's I'm kind of watching. He's a safety.
Yeah. I have 2 players,
all right.
Eric Berry and unnamed.
All right. So we have the Lions over the Saints, a game in which they did not win by 1 score, 28-13, and a game in which they did not trail in the 4th. So Lions win this one, move to 8-4, and still atop the NFC North. Their Saints drop to 5-7. The Patriots defeat the Rams, as many assumed they would, 26-10 to go to 10-2, and try to take a game lead on the Raiders. The Rams drop to 4-8 on the year.
And that is Thomas Brady's 201st win,
including playoffs.
Yeah.
So he's the all-time most winning quarterback in NFL history, passing Mr. Peyton Manning, who won his 200th with the Super Bowl last year.
He is officially the GOAT.
Yep. I saw it was a funny picture. It was Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, somebody else, and Tom Brady, pictures as babies. And it's all of them. They're toddlers.
Yeah. I seen that one.
A baby goat.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
I seen that one. That was great.
What was frustrating to me when I saw things from this game is, so I want Jared Goff to do well. I don't like this. I don't like all this criticism he's getting. Oh, he wasn't ready to play. I think it was more of a coaching decision than his ability to play. Right. But Lord, he threw 2 picks in this game. One maybe was his fault. One, they just need to catch the ball. Kenny Britt he's fighting the ball, and he pretty much threw it in the air and he's picked off. I see almost double-digit drops from them every week. It's like they don't want him to succeed. It's crazy.
Yeah, they don't have a team around him. Mm-hmm. It's going to, and not only that,
they need to invest in a first-round receiver.
Not only that, Jeff Fisher got a contract extension, which is something I do not agree with.
What I think is it spread the money out so he gets paid less, actually, and it doesn't make his job any safer. So, I think I think it was more so to do for situationally, not like to reward him. But, well, I don't know. I don't know the world of football. Let's move on. We have another team in the AFC taking on another team in the AFC, and that's the Broncos over the Jaguars. It's a game that Trevor Siemian did not start. Not amazing performances in this game. It's kind of a boring game. Won 20-10. He had 2 touchdowns in this game. One was run in by Devontae Booker, a very nice rushing touchdown. The other was a pick 6, an interception by Mr. sorry, clear my throat there. Bradley Roby. We almost had another pick 6 at a point, too. He had some space there. Chris Harris Jr. with his pick, returned for 36 yards, excuse me. But you had a rushing touchdown, and you had the defensive touchdown, and you had 2 field goals. So otherwise, kind of boring game. We move on. That game, obviously, 2010, like I said. Broncos 8-4, still staying alive in the AFC West. Jaguars 2-10, sitting at the number 3 spot in the draft. So still alive in the top 5. We move on to one of 2 Snow Bowls of the weekend. The Packers defeating the Texans 21-13 in both of the games, in which I'll get into the other one in a minute. I was waiting for somebody to fall and cause a big play, and it happened. It was a touchdown wide open to Jordy Nelson. Unfortunately, it was a guy that I like a lot that fell. It was Charles James. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever watched Hard Knocks, but he was the guy that always wore like he had fancy socks, not like fancy like dress socks. There's always had some cartoon or like superhero or
so they were
face
loud.
They were loud socks.
They were loud.
Yeah,
okay.
And he always wore them until he had to take them off for games. He wore them in practice and then warm ups. He was the sock guy, and he's a athletic dude. They used to run him at running back in the preseason his rookie year, and he's fast. Yes, I was sad it was him, but I digress. So the Packers win this one 21-13. They move to 6-6. The Texans fall to 6-6. Excuse me. Didn't clear it all the way. All right. Now these next 2 games are games that if you told me the winners of them were going to be the winners, I wouldn't have questioned you, but I would have questioned or been surprised at the way they won. So the Bengals, in a sense, blow out the Eagles 32-14. Before their first touchdown, it was already 29-0, or at least at the end of the third, it was 29-7. So blowout. The Eagles just, man, did they start hot and just end damp. They have been put out.
Carson Wentz officially looks like a rookie.
He hit the rookie wall, yeah. And to be fair, they have had a lot of drops, just like the Rams, but they have hit the wall. Their defense is not playing as well. Believe me, as a Steeler fan, I wish we played them now and not
when they did. The Eagles and the Rams need to invest in some receivers there.
Mm-hmm.
They look like
and some linemen.
They need, yeah, exactly. The Eagles look like they have something in Carson Wentz. I think
I think he's had a lot of flashes, and I think Goff has had flashes at times too. So I think definitely with Wentz you have something there.
They have something there. We've seen more from Wentz.
Obviously, yeah.
So I think there's something that needs to be.
They need to build around him. They need to
build around him because they got a good defense.
Yeah,
they got a defense. If they just build a couple pieces into their offense.
You said have a defense, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if they just build a couple pieces in their offense, I do think they have something there because this is a tough division. This is going to be a tough division for a few years to come. You got the Cowboys; they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
The Giants are always going to be in there. The Redskins, I look like they have something in Kirk Cousins if they happen to get him.
They have to pay him.
If they pay him, they look like they got some there. So this is not going to be easy division to play in for the next probably 5 to 10 years.
Absolutely.
So they need to build around. They need to build around Wentz now. And, getting back to the Rams there, this division is a little bit more weaker, but the Seahawks are not going anywhere. And, most of these teams, and besides the Niners, they play defense.
Yes, the Cardinals are getting old. The Rams need to figure something out. The Niners have to rebuild, but the Seahawks,
if the Rams want any chance to compete for a division title, they need to build around Goff. Maybe some offensive
get a real
line.
number one receiver.
Exactly.
Get some more offensive line.
Don't get Kenny Britt, who's been a journeyman.
Yeah, he's played well for you guys this year, but he's not the answer. So, definitely. All right, so we move on to the other game that was really surprising to me. I wouldn't have been surprised if you told me the Ravens were going to win, but that they were going to win 38-6, I would have questioned you a bit. You had the Dolphins, who were on a winning streak of all winning streaks, and the Ravens, who are playing well, now still tied at the top of the AFC North, but the tiebreaker goes to them. They are sitting at 7-5, and the Dolphins fall to 7-5. 38-6 in favor of the Ravens. Joe Flacco, I don't know, he was approaching his career high for passing yards in the game. I don't know if he passed it. I didn't hear what it was. But he finishes with 381 and 4. Dennis Pitta's first touchdown in years, since 2012, I believe. Not only that, he added another one. 9 receptions for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's a pretty good day. Jay Ajayi held to only 12 carries for 61 yards, but that's what's going to happen when by halftime it's 24-10. You pass the ball, you don't run it. So, unfortunately, he goes to the Ravens. And something that I wanted to mention, too, is it's so weird to me, the good defenses in the league this year, right? You have the Ravens, who's they're like the number one rush defense, right? You have the Vikings, who I think are the number one pass defense. You have the Steelers, who are the number one red zone defense. And then I forget who the number one total defense is. But it's not the same teams. I don't think any team has 2 categories. It's really weird that that's so consistently different this year. But anyways, 38-6 for the Ravens. Now, I would have a really good transition if it was still Harbaugh, because I'd go from one Harbaugh to another, but unfortunately he knew when to get out.
The other Harbaugh is about to play, Florida State.
Yes.
So
yeah, exactly. He knew when to get out, though, because the 49ers, man, oh man, in the second Snow Bowl of the day, and actually probably the harder. It's not a little harder in Chicago.
This one was hard to watch.
Yes, not only was it hard snow, it was hard to watch for those Niner fans.
Oh, my gosh.
So the Bears, they win this one 26-6. They move to 3-9. The Niners stay in the number 2 draft slot at 1-11. You look at the Cowboys and you look at the Niners. Both of them did opposite things week 1. One team blew out the Vikings and they won. And started off the season hot. When started off the week hot. And the Cowboys lost a close one because of a bonehead play. Since then, the teams have not done that the rest of the way. The Niners have not won, and the Cowboys have not lost.
Exactly. They have started the season different ways and have gone in different directions.
And they have completely flipped.
Oh, my gosh. And
oh, man.
First of all, the Niners beat the Rams week 1. I remember that.
I'm sorry, not Vikings. I'm thinking last year.
Vikings was last year.
Vikings was last year.
But I'm telling you right now, that team for the Niners last year, a lot better than this year, because this is probably the worst Niner team I've ever seen. This is worse than the 2-14
you think so?
team that I've seen. Yeah, I do think
so.
Maybe not as much. Maybe they have a little bit more talent at quarterback, because 2014, they play 3 different quarterbacks.
Trent Dilfer.
No, it was Tim Rattay, Ken Dorsey, and Cody Pickett.
Oh, yeah. The next year was Alex Trent Dilfer, JT O'Sullivan.
Yeah, JT O'Sullivan's 2007, I think.
Yeah. Then you got Sean Hill in there, and you had Troy Smith.
Oh, 2010. Man. That was a terrible year because they had Sean Hill, Alex Smith, Troy Smith. Yeah,
too many Smiths.
Too many Smiths, exactly.
So go ahead.
But anyways.
Yeah, talking about the quarterback position in this one. Yeah. You had no completed passes by either of these sides.
In the first quarter.
Matt Barkley ends the day, though, 11 for 18, 192 yards. Not bad, especially in the snow. He's starting to put together some decent performances for them. Last week, he looked like a guy who was starting his first game in a while.
Barkley.
Yeah.
I was actually very impressed by him
in the snow, at least.
At the end of the half, going to the 2-minute drill, man, he was making throws that
he's not a what he has is an average arm, but a solid decision. Yeah. He's got solid eyes, but he has questionable decision making.
And that was something that was questioned about Barkley. Going to the draft, I think 2012, going from USC. But, man, the throws that he made yesterday in the snow, I was very impressed with him. I was actually more impressed with his receivers yesterday.
They weren't dropping him last week.
His receivers yesterday they made incredible catches. Remember,
they needed to.
They don't have Alshon Jeffrey there. They're not going to have him until about 2 more games, I think. And they gained a lot. They had a lot of production from Marquise Wilson last week.
He was out this week.
Joshua Bellamy played a real good game. He had a chance for another big-time gain later in the game, but, of course, he dropped it.
Of course.
But he did finish with 93 yards. He could have had an even better day. But, I was really impressed by Matt Barkley. I think when he put together that final drive at the end of the first half, I do think, John Fox and the coaching staff had a lot more confidence in Barkley throwing in the snow. And it opened up things more for Jordan Howard, who had a big day. He had a big day
117 and 3.
He had put literally my fantasy team on his back. I'm still alive, baby. All right, but getting back to this.
Yeah, they're not the reason we're talking about this game.
No, we're talking about them because the 49ers, they looked really bad. This is probably the
game is the worst they've looked.
They looked throughout the whole year. And Colin Kaepernick, this is his stat line.
I'm glad you laughed because it's laughable.
1 for 4.
1 for 5.
1 for 5.
4 yards.
4 yards, and he got sacked 5 times.
For minus 25 yards. He didn't even end up in the positive because he only had 20 yards rushing. So technically speaking, he ended up with negative 5 yards. And then you add that to his 4 yards passing. So at the end of the day, technically speaking, responsible for negative 1 yards. He played awful.
And he did.
And he got benched.
He did. And he got benched for Blaine Gabbert,
who came in and completed his first 4 for 4 and then ended up 4 for 10.
No, Blaine Gabbert had like an 18-yard pass to Jeremy Curley. So I was like, okay, whatever. But anyways, I was tweeting about this game because, of course, this is the only game that I could watch.
Yeah,
not because
until the Raiders game starts.
Not because I'm a Niners fan, it's because it's the only game that's on on TV. And I feel like the Niners should go to Christian Ponder now. We already seen what Gabbert has done. We already seen what Cap has done.
We saw what Gabbert could do, and it wasn't too bad.
We saw
what Ponder could do.
I don't know. At this point, your season's done. Might as well just put Ponder in there. Try to get the number 2 pick.
You sure you don't want to play with the first?
Try to get Deshaun Watson. I don't know. I'm not saying I want Deshaun Watson as an Niner. I'm just saying he might go there.
Can you imagine if the Browns had the Niners left on their schedule? Who would win that bore fest?
Oh, God, probably the Browns. Terrell Pryor will probably get like 200 yards receiving,
oh my
100 yards throwing, and 100 yards rushing. Wow.
That would be the most insane game ever.
No, but anyways, before we move on here, I was going to say Kaepernick, before this game, he had like a really good 4-game stretch. And I thought he was going to finish the year off as a starter because he had a really good favorable schedule that favored him. These are pretty soft defenses that he was going to play against. So I thought he was going to end the year off on a great note after starting, week 9 after the bye week, so well. He has came back to earth, and I don't know. I really do think we actually seen his last game as a 49er. I do think.
Well,
so.
They already say he's going to opt out of his contract, but that doesn't mean he won't be back. He could come back for less money.
I don't think he's going to come back. I don't think he wants to come back with this front office.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't know where he'll go, but we'll have to see.
I think, honestly, the only way he'll come back is if he doesn't get any offers somewhere else.
Very true.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be the starter next year. He's going to have to fight for that starting spot like he did
every year, last 2 years, yeah. All right, let's move on. Afternoon games, here we come. We have the Raiders at home, coming back late to win this one, as a matter of fact. 38-24. They moved to 10-2. Still keep pace with the Raiders there. This is the Patriots there in the first spot in the AFC. The Bills dropped to 6-6. They play the Steelers next week in a game they need to hopefully win for them to continue their hopes in the playoff spot. Derek Carr, 260-2. Michael Crabtree, 7 for 74-1. What I said to Ben in this when we were talking about this game is this team has done a very good job not only drafting but getting free agent players. Getting Reggie Nelson, Sean Smith. Right, you got Justin Tuck a few years ago. He's no longer on the team.
Don't forget, most of that offensive line is from free agency.
Exactly. Michael Crabtree, like I said, Reggie Nelson, Sean Smith. You got Tuck a few years ago. He's not there anymore, but I think he was a big part of developing and helping develop Khalil Mack. Alden Smith played well last year when he came back. He might not be back this year, but it's still somebody, if he can play up to his potential, would be a good pick, a good free agency signing for them. I think it's a very good mix of veteran and young talent. And I think that's a big part of why they're winning. You see the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? They're a lot of young talent and potentially good talent, but it's a lot of young talent. The
thing with the Jaguars, though, is that they've actually been really respectable on defense. It's just their offense can't score.
What I mean, though, is
I know what you mean.
You see young, and then you see the old teams like the Cardinals are a little older now. They're struggling at times. So the Raiders, I feel like, are a very good mix of both.
Yeah,
and they won a good game yesterday.
And don't forget, Charles Woodson was also a big part of this.
Exactly. I think he had a lot to do.
He had a lot to do
if
with
only
this.
Carl Joseph would have been there when he was still there.
Yeah,
Carl Joseph came strong after getting injured. I think it helps having Reggie Nelson there across from him. I think those two are very good. I think they're one of the best probably duos at the safety position next to, I'm not saying they're like at the same level as Chancellor and Earl Thomas or anything like that, but I think they're playing at a very high level together.
And I also want to talk about my second defensive player of the year candidate.
Okay, mine's in the next game.
Yeah, I'm going to have to Khalil Mack.
Yeah, he had another sack, another strip, another big moment to do it.
No, yeah, he had like pretty much, you know how they have like the Heisman moment in college?
Yeah, he has them like every game now.
He kind of had one yesterday. He kind of had like his, his one of his signature moment yesterday. Thank you for finishing that off for me. At the end, it was at the end of the third or fourth quarter. No, I think it was the Bills' final drive when Tyrod Taylor was trying to look for a receiver to throw down the field to. Khalil Mack literally came behind him and stripped the ball, fell on it, and recovered it. So he had a sack. He had a sack.
Yeah.
A fumble. And a fumble recovery. He had a hat trick.
And in the game before, he had an interception, a touchdown, a sack recovery. A fumble, and a fumble recovery. So he had an even bigger hat trick.
Yeah.
He could literally tell the left tackle and the quarterback what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, and probably still do it. And not only is he like very understandable that you said, a defensive player of the year candidate. He could very well be an MVP candidate.
He can. And
people have him up there.
And remember, he was one of my dark horse MVP candidates to begin the year. I'm not sure if you remember that.
I remember, yeah. He's already won a defensive player rookie of the year.
And people talk about Derek Carr as the reason why this team's 9-2. And don't get me wrong, he's a huge reason. But without Khalil Mack on that defense, I don't know how good this Raiders team would be without Khalil Mack.
Exactly. I mean, look at what he's done in his 3 years now. His 2014 was his first year, so this is technically his third season, right? He was AP Defensive Rookie of the Year, right? He didn't win that one. They went to Aaron Donald, but he was right up there, right? And then he was All-Pro that year. He was All-Pro in a different position the next year. He's the only player ever to do it at two spots, and now he's very much in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. Not only that, possibly MVP. The guy has gotten better every year, and you look at how he played his first year, you're like, he's going to get better than this?
Yeah.
He has gotten even better.
And I was
just insanely good.
Yeah, and when was the last time the Raiders had an MVP candidate at quarterback, MVP candidate they have an MVP
candidate on defense and offense.
Okay, when was the last time the Raiders had
An MVP candidate.
An MVP candidate and a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. When was the last time? I don't know.
Had to be the last time they went to the Super Bowl, maybe.
I don't think so. I don't think. I don't know. I can't tell you.
I mean, yeah, that's something I'd have to.
But I'm telling you right. And I told Anthony this bold prediction on Friday. I forgot whether it was on this show or the sports one, but I said my bold prediction for the Super Bowl. I got Cowboys and the Raiders. I think the Raiders. I think they're the favorite to go through the AFC now.
I mean, I understand.
I think so. I
understand.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to finish off the year 14-2. No, I think they're going to get. I think they're going to get one more loss.
Yeah.
I think it's going to
maybe late in the year.
Maybe I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen this Thursday. I actually do think they're going to beat the Chiefs, but we'll talk about that later this week.
Yes.
But yeah, I do think they're going to end off the year as the number 1 seed.
Real quick, I wanted to say too. What was I going to say? Yeah, I don't know. It would depend on their defense, getting through. But yeah, I want to say in 44 games, so not full 3 seasons. So just shy of 3 seasons, he has 158 total tackles, combined 210. He has 29 sacks, 7 forced fumbles. He's recovered 3 of them, all which he's recovered this year. He has his first ever interception, which he added to a touchdown, his first ever touchdown on the defensive side of the ball. And the guy, I mean, in 3 years, you're sitting at just shy of 30 sacks and 7 fumbles. You're lights out. If he gets another sack this week, right? That's 30 sacks. You're averaging 10 sacks a year. That's pretty good, except for I don't know. He's over doubled his sack total from his rookie year from 4 to 15. He almost quadrupled it. And then this year you're through 12 games. He already has 10. So the guy light years above what they're absolutely nailing their draft.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to see who finishes off as Defensive Player of the Year. You got Eric Berry making plays,
and we're about to talk about somebody I like.
And then Khalil Mack, who's your guy?
All right, so moving to the Giants-Steelers game. Now, two things I want to mention. These are other 2 teams that possibly are kind of hitting on the draft picks lately. You have a pick from both of you have Eli Apple with his first pick ever, and you have second-round pick Sean Davis with his first pick ever in this game. Him and then Artie Burns has 2 picks this year. You have 3 picks responsible for your first 2 draft picks, plus Eli Apple. That's pretty good, right? The Steelers win this one 24-14, but neither of them are the Defensive Player of the Year candidates in my mind, obviously. They're still rookies. They're learning. Landon Collins is not somebody I think is going to win, but he definitely needs to be looked at as somebody who has taken huge strides. He's
definitely earned a Pro Bowl and a All-Pro selection. I'm telling you, he was possibly a couple weeks ago. He was looked at as the Defensive Player of the Year, but Khalil Mack and Eric Berry, they kind of emerged as the front runners for that. But yeah, Landon Collins.
As a safety, he has 94 combined tackles and 5 picks. I think he leads the league in picks.
Yeah, and he has been having a phenomenal year. He's probably not going to win it, which is kind of a shame. But then again, Khalil Mack and Eric Berry are just having a better year than Landon Collins, which is kind of amazing, to be honest with you.
I mean, Landon, like I said, he's having a pretty solid year. 76 solo tackles. He's got 3 sacks in the safety position. He's got the 5 picks. He has a pick 6 included in there. The guy is playing great, and I don't think he's going to win. Unfortunately, it's hard, especially with Eric Berry coming on late now, and obviously playing against somebody like Khalil Mack in terms of the competition there.
Honestly, okay, I think we agree that we put Landon Collins, Eric Berry, and Khalil Mack as the 3 candidates, right? So I think as of right now, I think it's Khalil Mack's award.
Yeah, but funny enough, so Landon and Eric Berry play different positions safety-wise, and obviously Khalil Mack plays at a completely different position. If you have a defensive fantasy league, all 3 of those players are ranked number 1 at their respective positions. If you play those weird defensive fantasy leagues.
The IDP leagues?
Yeah, I never have. But anyways, let's keep moving because we got some to finish before we do our Thursday night
Monday night.
Thank you. Preview because we were talking Thursday. Monday night preview to end the show. So the Steelers won that one 24-14. They moved to 7-5 and still in tie for first place, but they're technically in second place in the AFC North. Giants still keeping pace even though they lose this one 8-4. All right, another team in that same division, the Redskins, they lose to the Cardinals 31-23. They moved to 6-5-1. The Cardinals 5-6-1. A big day for Palmer, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, but no bigger day was no bigger production was done other than what David Johnson did. Man, he had 84 yards rushing and a touchdown and 91 yards receiving and a touchdown. The guy was lights out. Lights out, and he's been doing it all year. You know, Ben and I talked about it. We think the two best running backs right now in the NFL have to be Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson in regards to all-around game. They're both great receivers out of the backfield. You got to give the edge to Le'Veon in terms of hands. That guy can go play receiver and run slants, you know, and catch bullets. But both of them know what to do in open field. They know how to catch the ball. They know how to run the ball. Very great. So always enjoyable watching him. All right, and we move to the last of the afternoon games, the Chargers and the Buccaneers. This was a back-and-forth game the entire way. The Buccaneers won this one 28-21. They moved to 7-5, keeping pace now in their division with the Falcons losing yesterday. And the Chargers sitting at 5-7.
Not only that, they got the last wild card spot.
Absolutely. Yeah, James Winston 280-1. Cameron Brate responsible for that touchdown, 86 yards on 6 receptions. Melvin Gordon had a good day, 84 yards and a touchdown. Doug Martin had a nice touchdown in which he looked like he was kind of stopped and he weaseled through there, kind of like a little bowling ball snuck through there, got a touchdown. A big pick six from Levante David helped them win this one. All right, last but not least, we have two NFC powerhouse matchups, which we would have said that last year, but not so much this year. A game in which Cam Newton did not start because of something I'm 100% okay with, and I'll tell you why in a minute. A dress code violation. The Seahawks win this one 40-7. Unfortunately, might be losing Earl Thomas for the year, depending on the severity of the break in his bone. It's apparently a cracked fibula, not a broken fibula, so that I don't know how significant a timetable that might be.
But he's probably going to be out for the rest of the year.
They said at least 6 weeks, so that would put him sitting in the playoffs sometime, you know. But we'll have to see what news we get this week. But the Seahawks, 40-7, they win this one, go to 8-3-1. Panthers up to 4-8. Excuse me. Now, Cam Newton didn't start this game. He was disciplined for the first drive because of a dress violation, right? Derek Anderson starts the game. Not his fault. First play of the game was a play action rollout. Throws the ball to Tolbert. Bounces off Tolbert's belly because it's so big, and it's a pick. I don't put that on Derek Anderson. You know, Ben said maybe put a little too much mustard on the hot dog. Whatever. I don't put that on him. You know, catch the ball, Tolbert.
But honestly though, that kind of really set the tone for the game.
Yes, but I don't think that a pick is. I don't think it's a pick six, but I don't. That's not the reason why they lost the 47.
No, honestly, no, that's not the reason. They were in this game.
Yes. Now, so
at one point,
in a sense, it set a tone. Okay, I understand that, but I'm 100% okay with them sitting Cam Newton, although it did turn out as possibly bad as it could. You know, worst case scenario, they threw a pick six, or a pick, whatever it was. Anyways, I'm okay with it because I think I've always liked Ron Rivera. I think he's a great coach. If I was him, if I was a player, I would respect that man more than anything. And I think I would respect him even more after this because pretty much what he's saying to his players is it doesn't matter if you're a backup guard, a middle receiver, a kicker, or the MVP quarterback of this team. If you do something that you're not supposed to do, you're going to get punished for it. And it'll happen in different ways based off of what you do. But I think it's really showing that it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how good you are. All of you, none of you are better than the other in the sense of a person. Yeah, you're a better player than you're the MVP, the reigning MVP. But that doesn't matter to me. You did what you're not supposed to do. And he said, okay, well, he didn't have a tie and a dress shirt. It's kind of hard on short notice because they stayed on the West Coast to play this game after the last game. It's kind of hard on short notice to get a dress shirt for a 6'5" man.
Wait,
you got a lot of money.
It's hard to get a dress shirt and
for
a tie.
Somebody that big, I guess. I mean, he's a big person.
Well, I know that, but come on, you can get.
He's got a lot of money. Get one.
You got a lot of money, and then you can get something probably tailor-made.
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I know. You got all the stupid hats. Why don't you worry about your shirt?
No, was it? And getting back to your point about the dress code violation, if a coach implements a rule, you have to follow that. Because he's technically your boss in a way.
He's your boss.
Like when you're going to work
anywhere, you're a quarterback. Your quarterback coach is a boss, and then that's his boss, and then the general manager is his boss, and then the owner.
Exactly. You're an employee. Yeah, you're not.
It's a hierarchy.
Exactly.
You
might make more money than the average person, but you're still an employee.
You ever see the inside, the rookie stuff? And when rookies get there, they have to know the division and whom they play. Because I remember Colt McCoy didn't know who's in the AFC North. He's like, I don't know the Oilers. So you have to know who you play. You have to know your coach, obviously. You have to know your general manager, and you have to know the owner. You have to know those people by heart. Even if a coach has to know that. I got a job with a sporting franchise out here, a minor league baseball team. I don't know if that's significant for me to know, But I know players need to know who the owner of that team is and who the general manager is. I'll know it because I'm going to take it upon myself to learn it. But that's how that's how franchises are. You need to know who your bosses are because there's a lot of them. So yeah, definitely his boss. He's his superior.
Okay, and no matter what kind of job, no matter if you're working at McDonald's or
you got a uniform,
you got a uniform. You can't.
And in Cam Newton's case, he's got 2 uniforms.
You can't show up to work in the street clothes to work at McDonald's. No, they're gonna tell you to go home. Exactly, and that's kind of like the same case here. What Ron Rivera, did with Cam Newton. He had a dress code to follow, and if you don't follow it, you're gonna get disciplined.
Yeah, so I'm 100% okay with it.
And yeah, it may have maybe set the tone. That interception by Derek Anderson may have set the tone for the game, but come on, I think Ron Rivera kind of knows, his team. I think he knows the kind of season his team is going
I was going to say that's another reason why I don't hate it is because you're 4-7.
You're 4-7.
You're a loser.
But honestly, would Ron Rivera do this if his team was in contention? Maybe, but they're not. The Panthers. It wasn't pick six.
No, it was not. No.
So the Panthers are not a good team this year, even though they have shown some flashes.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's him giving up by any means, but he understands where they're sitting. They're sitting at 4-7. It's not going to kill you to discipline your star quarterback because he made a mistake. So, they threw a pick. They only gave up 3 points.
And you're 4-8 for a reason. I think that little.
I think a lot goes. Into
think that little situation kind of plays a huge part.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, good convo. Let's take our last break, and we'll come back real quick and just preview tonight's Monday Night Football game, and we'll get out of here. So we'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. And it's time to end the show by talking about tonight's Monday Night Football game between the Colts and the Jets, a game that not too many years ago was an AFC championship matchup between Peyton Manning and Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez. Anyways, the Jets host this one. They're sitting at 3-8. The Colts 5-6, but they get Mr. Andrew Luck back after not playing on Thanksgiving because of his injury, and I believe they had a game last week too. So he has another game under his belt. I got to give it to the Colts in this one. I think they have much more going for them than the Jets. The Jets' defense is porous. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I don't know if his beard needs to get trimmed because he can't see. I just don't understand. This man, start somebody else. Put Bryce Petty in there. Get Christian Hackenberg some reps. I don't know.
They need to put Christian Hackenberg in here.
Well, I would probably put Petty in there. But I understand Todd Bowles, he said he doesn't want to risk losing the locker room by playing somebody who they think doesn't give him any chance to win. I don't know if that's saying a horrible thing about either of the other quarterbacks, but because, what good point is Fitzpatrick putting you in, You got Andrew Luck, who's 19 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. You have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's 10 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. In this game, injury report stands. You have Patrick Robertson and Robert Mathis both out. T.Y. Hilton's questionable. Denzel Good and Hassan Ridgeway questionable, both linemen on each side of the ball. Excuse me. Lorenzo Malden, a linebacker there for the Jets. He's doubtful, but everybody else is questionable. You have Marcus Williams, who is a corner. He's questionable. Breno Giacomini, he's an offensive tackle. He's questionable. Bruce Carter and Mr. Muhammad, forget your birthday, Wilkerson. He's questionable as well.
I like that.
Thank you.
Mr. Muhammad, forget your birthday,
Wilkerson. Yeah, you like that?
I like that. That was like.
So this game is in MetLife. Is a home game for the Jets, but I don't think that does anything to ease their pain here. I think they lose this one. They lose to the last 3 against Miami, L.A., and New England. They defeated Baltimore somehow and Cleveland. So 2 of their last 5 they've won, but not so great. And 3 of their last 5 in favor of the Colts. Unfortunately, so they actually haven't played since Thanksgiving. Andrew Luck missed that game. They haven't played since. So this is their first game with him back.
Yeah, and I have the Colts in this game as well. With the Texans losing yesterday, I do think they're going to go to 6-6 and contend for that AFC South championship. I think it's going to be between the Colts and the Titans.
Yeah, as it stands right now, Houston is in first place, but Tennessee is tied. And if Indianapolis can win, like you said, they'll have a 3-way tie in terms of record, but it'll probably still stand. I don't know the head-to-heads, what'll shift. Right now, it's Houston and then Tennessee. In the AFC East, you have New England, obviously in first place at 10-2. Miami right there at 7-5. Then you have 6-6 Buffalo, and then you climb down the ladder and you walk down in the basement. Then you climb down into a bunker, and then you dig a hole, and then you find the New York Jets sitting at 3-8.
I like how you did all that.
Thank you.
I don't know. Did you just make that up in your head?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was awesome.
I get on roll sometimes.
I'm excited.
I made up Muhammad Forget Your Birthday.
Yeah, I know you did
on the flight.
I know you did. That was good, man.
Thank you. Now ESPN has the Jets rated to win this one percent-wise, 54.8 to 44.8, but I'm still giving it to the Colts. Do you agree, my friend?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Tomorrow, you and I will discuss this game in insane detail. Not really.
We're going to talk about this game for like an hour.
Just like we did today, as we are leaving now at 55 minutes. But, again, we'd like to thank you so much for listening to our media, Golden State media, that is, sports and football and college football and everything in the world that you can pretend to listen to network, but specifically the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast right now. Jeremiah and I would like to thank you for listening, as always. Anthony will be back with us on Wednesday. So for Anthony, I'm Alex.
And I'm Jeremiah.
And you guys enjoy tonight's amazing Monday Night Football game. It's going to be fireworks, air quotes. And we will discuss this tomorrow with you guys and anything and everything that comes up in between in the world of football. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you tomorrow. You guys enjoy football, and we will talk to you then.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.